Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us during the Lytham Partners Spring 2024 Investor Conference. My name is Roger Weiss. I'm a Vice President here at Lytham. In this presentation, we welcome SOBR Safe, NASDAQ ticker symbol SOBR, and with us today is their Chairman and CEO, David Gandini. Before we begin, I want to remind everybody that management is available for one-on-one meetings. If you've not already signed up, please send me an email at weiss@lythampartners.com or visit us at www.lythampartners.com/spring2024 and click on the one-on-one meeting request button. All right, Dave, let's get started. Could you please introduce yourself and give us a brief overview of the company?
Thanks, Roger. Good to be with you guys again. So as Roger said, I'm the Chairman and CEO of SOBR Safe. And what we do at SOBR Safe is we provide leading transdermal or touch-based alcohol solutions for the behavioral health space, consumer, and licensing. So what I mean by licensing, we can license our technology. So those are the three legs of the sales stool. It's also a mission of ours to improve behavioral health outcomes and save lives and ultimately become a gold standard for the alcohol screening and monitoring space.
Hey, Dave, how big is the existing alcohol detection market, and how can the introduction of better technology accelerate that market's growth?
Well, the detection market today, we've talked about this in prior conversation, but the market's about 2.2 billion and is expected to grow to 5.7 billion by 2028 as we introduce and make common alcohol monitoring for current unserved apps. We can expand the boundaries of this marketing size. And apps, I mean applications.
I understand there's a huge potential opportunity out there, but where does SOBR currently get traction, and what are the key targeted markets, and who are the end users for those kind of markets?
Yeah, what we've learned over the past several years has led us to this focus right now, and it's on individuals in the U.S. suffering from alcohol use disorder, or AUD. There's about 30 million people every year that struggle with AUD, but it's important to note that only 2.2 million receive treatment. So it's a wide open opportunity for us to get in and help save lives and improve behavior of these individuals.
Got it. Can we break that down a little bit further? You mentioned that people are getting treatment. How many alcohol rehab centers are there in the country? And for their standpoint, what does SOBR Safe, from a product standpoint, help them do or fix something for them? And you could talk about a tangible benefit, to give us a real life understanding.
Yeah, I think I can cover that. So first of all, there are 46,000 brick and mortar health facilities in the U.S. that are dealing with this problem. Second, what we're really doing and what we've learned is we're bringing this great humanity because of our technology and how you test, and also hygiene in these facilities where you're not blowing into something, you're putting your hand down, but we're also improving efficiencies and cutting costs. Facilities that leverage our stationary screening device, SOBR Check, are achieving about 75% efficiency improvement. And what I'll walk you through the scenarios you asked me. So think about it today. You're an individual, you're involved in treatment, and here's the process. You walk in today, you show your identification, you get a blow device, your breathalyzer, you blow into that breathalyzer, you hand that back. That information then is either written down or typed into a computer, and you sit down and you wait for your appointment. With our technology, you're logged into the system, so this individual would walk in, put his or her 2 fingers on the device, and within 10 seconds, their identity is verified. Whether or not they have alcohol in their system is validated. It goes on, it's a digital record. It goes on computer, individual sits down. Facilities that are implementing our technology are also looking at unmanned location. So we just recently signed a customer that's putting our technology in and doesn't have to have somebody at the front desk because of the check-in, because of the technology that I mentioned. So it's a significant game changer. What we really like to focus around is kind of transforming this space, but there's a need in the space and our technology fills that need, and it really creates more of a human and more of a accurate digital record than what's happening today. So hopefully I answered your question.
You did. Thank you, Dave. Dave, just again, talking about these treatment facilities, what is the motivation of the folks who own and run these facilities? Is it just a business to them, or do you think it's something else?
Well, that's a great question. In January, I was involved with a group of 12 different companies where they were building an ecosystem or a platform to better manage these patients that have AUD. And what I noticed is there's a tremendous amount of brotherhood and respect with these individuals, like I've never seen in any business. So how we define those leaders and those owners, they're really servants for the cause. And a good chunk of these owners and leaders have alcohol and or drug issues, which is one of the reasons they got in to help others. So it's highly connected, and it's at 46,000 facilities. It's so connected. We're actually starting to see referrals right now, but it's really not a business for these individuals. It's a mission for these leaders to save lives and to improve the lives of these families and these individuals that are affected by AUD. So it's very different from your standard business B2B situation in most of these companies that you sell to today.
And how do these companies look at you and where SOBR Safe fits in?
Well, that's another good question. Based on our technology and how we support the mission and our focus, which is around saving lives and improving behavior, we're looked at as really now a partner locking arms with these companies, and the technology that we can provide can help them do their job even better and hopefully will lead to better outcomes.
I know besides the behavioral health or rehabilitation space, you've also talked about licensing and integration. Could you talk specifically about what that means exactly, and what kind of applications are we talking about? And if you could give us some examples.
Sure. So let me talk about integration first. So companies that are in a similar space or let's say they're in a B2B space where they're doing check-in, check-out ID, what they'd be interested in, what they are interested in having conversations is integrating our sensor technology to their existing platform. So what they do then, they'll add an additional product to that stack, additional revenue to that stack, and they'll provide more enhanced safety and access control. So that's one example. In terms of licensing, because we have the newest sensor in the market, and our sensor is a little unique in that we have a very long life in market, in use. So right now our market in use is about 5 years. The majority of the sensors that are out there today, they need calibration on an annual basis, or in some cases even replacement. So as we gain traction and build brand, we have companies reaching out to us, of course not making any promises, companies reaching out to us to want to test and have conversation around integrating with our technology on top of their technology. So at the end of the day, in those environments or those relationships, there's the potential for broad deployment, and that's significant to us as we move the business forward. But we are in conversations. Our technology is the latest and greatest right now from our perspective and what we've learned in the market.
Very good. One of the other things you've talked about, Dave, is doing potential deals with channel partners. And I'm not entirely familiar with the terminology. So what is a channel partner, and what type of companies are they, and kind of how they would fit into your ecosystem?
Sure. A channel partner is really simple. It's a sales channel. So it's an extension of our sales team. It may be in a different market, maybe a different part of the world, if you will. For example, take Australia, New Zealand. We announced the Australia partnership at the beginning of the year. What they do is they provide alcohol detection solutions, and they've taken our product set and they added it to their product set. They're serving the behavioral health space and the justice space there. So they're rolling out an additional product, again, that has much more power and might than the existing products, the breathalyzers out there today. So think of a channel partner as a sales extension. It could be a channel partner within the US, it could be outside the US, but it's a sales extension. Now, in the past, we've talked about distributors, and what our vetting process is changed, and we require these partners now to have commitments with us and how much product they will sell with a ramp up period. So again, extension of the sales force.
So just as I understand it, a channel partner is already somebody who's in the industry, who's got a sales force out there who may be selling multiple but complementary products. And
Yes.
so your relationship, they would just be basically adding you to their bag and hitting the ground running because they're already doing business with a lot of the ultimate end users.
Absolutely, yes. Right on.
You know, you've talked about licensing and integration. What are the potential opportunities out there, you know, kind of in broad brushstrokes?
Yeah, as I touched on a few ago, companies meet the conversations we're in right now for licensing or integration would all be licensing, could be replacing existing technology, sensor technology, because of the fact that we have a long in-market life, 5 years plus, versus what's out there today. And we're better in terms of there's been nothing new developed over the last handful of years. So because we have customers, because we have the stationary device, because we have the band, companies are reaching out to us to try to understand what we're doing and how we're doing it. And if we're successful, you know, we'll expand the market, as I mentioned earlier, through these types of licensing agreements. Integration, again, we're talking to companies right now that have existing product sets. They may want to look at integrating our tech on top of theirs, as I mentioned earlier. So it's broad expansion, and it's consistent revenue over a longer period of time.
You know, you touched on a moment ago the Australia-New Zealand deal. Is that a template for future international deals?
Well, if you were to ask me this, 6 months ago, I'd say no. What's happening now, Roger, is companies outside of North America are reaching out to us because they've searched our technology. And in the case of countries outside North America, the policies for alcohol are much more stringent than they are here. For example, in Italy, professional drivers have a zero tolerance to drive vehicles there. If you look at the US and take school buses, which in the past we've talked to investors and we hear back and forth that, well, how comes all school bus drivers, how come school buses don't have this technology to protect our kids? Well, the fact is, in some of these states, you can have a BAC of 0.04 and drive a bus. So the international groups are more progressive, they're more innovative. And like I say, we're talking to several countries right now. Of course, I can't promise anything. It's the difference in how alcohol is managed there. And in the case of Australia and New Zealand, they're following our exact model and selling into behavioral health and selling the same product with similar pricing. So in that case, they're a channel partner. In some of these international cases, these aren't channel partners. These are large entities that are interested in reviewing and deploying some of our technology. So it's much different.
Right. So what you're saying is they're end users as opposed to intermediaries and sales forces, people who saying, I could put this to work for my business and what I do daily.
Yes, because of the restrictions that are applied in these other countries.
Got it. Overall, I mean, are the opportunities outside the US more attractive, or is it, kind of, how do you think about that?
Yeah, from my perspective, Roger, all new sales and accounts are important and attractive to the company. But again, because the regulations are different and because there's the opportunity of broad expansion. Of course, I'd rather sign a country with significant number of users than sign 10 behavioral health facilities. So the opportunity is there, but we just have to figure out how we'd manage that and how we'd implement. So we're going through the process. We're having conversations, but right now I can't make comment. But yes, it would be tremendous for us if we could do something like that.
Got it. Let me just switch the topic a little bit. You know, we've been talking about B2B sales, but I understand you've launched a digital and social media marketing for the wearable band, the SOBR. Who are the folks out there who need SOBR and why?
Yeah, so first of all, not big numbers, but through our e-commerce site, we're selling bands daily. We're shipping bands daily, and we're learning more about these users. But if you think about it, go back to what we talked about earlier, 27 million individuals every year in this country do not receive treatment. And if you look at some of the options out there, they're very, very expensive. In some cases, some of these individuals have burned out their insurance. They can't use it anymore. So they have no place to go. So if you look at that, this lower cost, non-invasive, continuous monitoring solution that we have is very attractive to those individuals. It also has significant application for co-parenting trust, where or in a situation, you know, with family law, where a former spouse needs to wear a band to demonstrate sobriety during custody visits. I mean, there's so many different buckets there. But what we'll do is, and I think we'll talk about this a little bit, we will focus a marketing spend to drive activity, interest, and sales in that space, because it's a wide open opportunity for us right now.
Got it. Moving on, you guys just filed your annual proxy statement, and the board is asking shareholders to approve a reverse share split. What does the reverse do for the company regarding its NASDAQ listing?
Sure. So, I mean, a split is a necessity for us to maintain our NASDAQ listing. And we have a plan in motion in which we also intend to cure an equity deficiency. So we have two issues right now, equity and the dollar price, the dollar minimum. We have a very specific strategy. We're working with NASDAQ. We're working with our shareholders and our financial partners to achieve and maintain our public listing. Obviously, it's extremely important to our shareholders, important to us, so we can continue to drive the business forward. So we've got a plan in motion, and we hope to be successful with that plan.
Got it. Now, Dave, once the NASDAQ issues are taken care of, how do you think about your capital needs to support the growth that we've been talking about and clearing up the going concern label?
So once our resources, the capital sources are acquired, our focus will be on strategic goals around sales, most importantly, product, and building brand through a comprehensive marketing strategy. And we've got some world-class partners that we're going to bring to the table to help us get that done, as well as some branded ambassadors and some influencers. But I should note that if you look at the history of the company, we've never really launched a specific digital PR marketing strategy because we were waiting to gain efficiency in sales in any specific market. And now that we know where we're going and we know we've got traction, we can then implement those. So I think this will be a huge game changer for us as far as brand building and sales.
Very good. Dave, when investors look at companies, a common question is, what are your moats that protect the castle? So what is the SOBR Safe moat or moats?
I think in the old days, we used to call it a brick wall, Roger, I remember. So
I'm a little older. That's the difference, I think.
So we have patents pending for both the SOBR and the SOBR, which would include IP, which would include the algorithm. We're continuing to update these patent requests or these pending patents based on changes that we make to the hardware or the software. So we're diligent on that. Over the last 2.5 years or so, you've seen what we've done with the SOBR and then from the SOBR to the band, and just want everybody to know, the investors and the current investors and potential investors, we're fully protected there, and we use a very significant firm in the U.S. to make that happen.
Got it. Dave, I guess on a big picture basis, are there any wild cards out there that could be a game changer from your standpoint?
Oh, yeah, wild cards come and float through my office, seems like every other day. But first of all, yes, but I would define a wild card as a large or large accounts that could be revenue game changers for us. And those that would come probably, as I mentioned earlier, Roger, in the form of licensing, in the form of integration, or in the form of international expansion. So in terms of how we manage the sales group, sales guys, which we have 4, and we have an additional 7 sales associates that drive leads to that group. In addition to what the general sales group is working on, which, by the way, all sales reports to me. I sell with everybody every day. I have a number of things that I'm working on, which would be these game-changing deals. Again, can't promise anything, but the left side of the brain is working on sales every day. The right side is working on potential large opportunities or expansion opportunities outside of our market share. So we have a number of those in motion, and we'll continue to focus on those to try to get some of those across the line.
Very good. And I'll getting close to the end of my list of questions, so starting to wrap it up here. You guys are getting some tremendous traction over the last certainly last quarter, and you put out press releases. As you get the access to the capital, what kind of timeline do you think about in terms of the continuation of this traction, and how kind of we'll see the momentum building?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm trying to figure out the proper way to answer that. You figure we turn the corner from a sales perspective and had our markets defined late fourth quarter. We've had great success in the first quarter. That's continuing on the second quarter. My thinking is, as we gain momentum, we'll have a really good handle by the end of Q3. And I feel comfortable that at that time, we could start giving guidance with revenue numbers and customers and things like that. But I think we need another maybe 3 or 4 months to get confident, and so we can make those statements and we can live by those statements. So I'd say the end of Q3 is where we'll come out and have a more refined strategy in terms of revenue and break even and all those things that are necessary for us to attract the right investors that'll stick with us through this ride.
Very good. With that said, I'm out of questions. Dave, thank you very much for your time today. We greatly appreciate it, and appreciate getting caught up with this SOBR Safe story and hearing about the great progress that you guys are making.
Yeah. Sorry, Roger. Yeah, thanks for the invite. And as always, we always have a great turnout with questions and funds after we present at your Fireside chat. So we look forward to answering more questions and giving more detail to potential investors. But we greatly appreciate the opportunity to work with you guys.
Thank you. To anybody out there who's not already signed up for a one-on-one with SOBR Safe, again, please send me an email at weiss@lythampartners.com, or you can visit us at www.lythampartners.com/spring2024 and click on the one-on-one meeting request button. We hope you all enjoy the conference. Thank you.